Imagine being trapped in a life where your every decision, every action, and every emotion is controlled by someone else. You're a mother, fighting for your child's future. But you're not only battling your ex-husband, you're also fighting years of emotional neglect, a broken system, and the weight of a complicated family dynamic. Christine Brown's journey is the kind of story that leaves you stunned. She was once a passive wife in a polygamous marriage, but she's now standing tall, fighting for justice in a way we've never seen before. Christine Brown, the third wife of Cody Brown, lived much of her life in the shadow of her husband's other marriages. While Cody showered affection and attention on his fourth wife, Robin, Christine found herself sidelined, emotionally drained, and largely ignored. It wasn't just the favoritism that left her feeling invisible, though. It was the way her life as a wife and mother seemed to be dictated by everyone but her. But it's her youngest daughter, Truly, who becomes the catalyst for Christine's transformation. You see, Truly, the daughter Cody had neglected for years, became the spark that ignited Christine's fight. Cody had refused to take responsibility for Truly, and it was this neglect that would eventually push Christine into the courtroom, seeking justice for her daughter and a new path for herself. Hey everyone, it's Olivia here from TLC's Sister Wives Secrets. If you're a fan of the Brown family drama, you know things are never as simple as they seem, and Christine's journey is one that is filled with pain, empowerment, and ultimately transformation. I've got so much to share with you all today, so make sure you hit that like button, drop a comment down below, and subscribe if you haven't already, because you don't want to miss out on the latest behind-the-scenes secrets of the Sister Wives saga. Let me know your thoughts on Christine's fight. Do you think she's finally getting the justice she deserves? Let's dive in. Christine's legal journey was no easy feat. It wasn't just about filing papers or signing documents. It was about making a stand, not just for her own dignity, but for her daughter's future. Imagine being a mother, and all you want is the bare minimum, acknowledgement and support. But for Christine, getting this from Cody was like pulling teeth. Let's break it down. First, Christine filed for child support, something that should have been automatic for a father, especially when he's actively involved in the child's life. But Cody, well, he wasn't involved. In fact, his name wasn't even on Truly's birth certificate. Can you even wrap your head around that? A biological father who refused to claim responsibility for his own flesh and blood. He had spent years dodging this, and Christine had enough. She wasn't going to stand idly by while her daughter was left to fend for herself emotionally, financially, and legally. Christine wasn't just fighting for child support, though. Oh no, she was determined to have a paternity test done. This wasn't just a legal battle. It was personal. It was about making sure that her daughter was acknowledged in every sense of the word, legally and emotionally. By filing for a paternity test, she ensured that Truly's legal rights were recognized, including the right to financial support from the man who fathered her. No more hiding behind excuses. No more pretending that everything was okay when clearly it wasn't. Now, it wasn't just about the legal papers. Christine had to take an even bigger step. She moved to Utah, a state known for its legal protections for single mothers. Christine wasn't just running away, she was securing a future for herself. And Truly. Utah's laws gave her the opportunity to do what she couldn't do in Arizona, fight back without fear of being crushed under the weight of a legal system that didn't always have her back. By relocating, Christine ensured she would be in a place where her voice would finally be heard, where the law would back her up, and where she could actually win her fight for justice. But let's talk about Cody for a second. As a mother, you want the best for your kids, and when you're up against a father who refuses to take responsibility, things get complicated. Christine was already carrying the weight of her family's breakdown, the emotional neglect, and the fallout from her separation. But the hardest part? Cody's refusal to step up as Truly's father. He evaded his duties time and time again, and it wasn't just about money. It was about something deeper. It was about being a present father and showing Truly she mattered. And yet, here he was, hiding behind his excuses and avoiding accountability. You can't just skip out on being a father because it's convenient for you. And yet, Cody did exactly that. The fact that his name wasn't even on Truly's birth certificate is inexcusable when you think about it. A mother has to fight so hard for her child's recognition, yet the father can simply walk away, leave, and pretend like nothing ever happened. It's maddening, right? But Christine wasn't about to let that slide. Here's the kicker, though. Cody's behavior wasn't just a one-time thing. For years, he has avoided responsibility in ways that are becoming harder and harder to ignore. From dodging major family obligations to putting his wives and children in unhealthy situations, it's clear there's a pattern here. If you really think about it, it wasn't just truly he neglected. Christine, Janelle, and Mary were all victims of Cody's refusal to acknowledge their needs and the children he fathered with them. It's like he's been living in this bubble, where his actions have no real consequences. But Christine finally decided to pop that bubble. She wasn't going to let Cody's selfishness and neglect continue unchallenged. Christine's legal journey wasn't just about her, or Truly. It was a stand for all the women in toxic marriages or situations where they felt powerless. She showed the world that you don't have to accept being treated like a second-class citizen. You don't have to tolerate neglect from someone who is supposed to love and protect you and your children. Christine proved that fighting for justice is worth every ounce of energy, every tear, and every ounce of courage. Now, I want to hear from you guys. Do you think Cody's actions are beyond forgiveness? Is there any way that Christine could ever reconcile with him, given how he's treated her and their kids? Or do you think this is just part of a larger pattern of him shirking responsibility when it comes to his family? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'm curious to know if you think Christine's fight is truly over, or if Cody might just surprise us with a change of heart. And remember, if you're loving the breakdown of all this behind-the-scenes drama, be sure to like the video, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss out on future updates. Trust me, there's plenty more coming your way. Let's get real for a second. Legal battles, court hearings, financial stress, and trying to get justice for your kids. It's not just physically exhausting, it can destroy you emotionally. And if we're being honest, Christine's journey was brutal, on top of everything else she was dealing with. Her complicated relationships, her marriage falling apart, the stress of her kids adjusting to this new reality. She was carrying the emotional weight of trying to get Cody to take responsibility for his actions. That's the stuff you can't just shake off. Christine had been through so much already. We watched her go from a woman who was often ignored and dismissed in her polygamous marriage to someone who was finally starting to stand up for herself. But let's not sugarcoat it. She didn't just wake up one day feeling strong. This didn't just happen overnight. It took years of emotional neglect and disappointment before she made the decision to leave Cody. And even then, leaving wasn't enough. The emotional scars, the hurt, the betrayal, those things linger. Now, we all know Cody's pattern of favoritism, how he prioritized Robin, his fourth wife, over Christine and the kids. You can see it in his body language, in the way he talks about his relationships, in his complete disregard for his other wives. But what we didn't always see was the emotional toll it took on Christine. Think about it. She'd been in a marriage where she thought she was loved and supported, only to realize she had been sidelined for years. And when your partner, the father of your children, doesn't even acknowledge you, much less step up to be a father to your kids, that hurts. It hurts deep. Christine put her whole heart into that marriage. She made compromises, sacrificed her own happiness, and spent years investing in a relationship that, in the end, wasn't even mutual. It's not just that Cody was emotionally unavailable. He was emotionally absent. And when that happens, what are you left with? Loneliness. And not just the kind of loneliness you feel when you're single. No, it's a much deeper loneliness. The kind that comes from being trapped in a situation where no one sees you, no one values you, and no one has your back. But here's the kicker. Christine wasn't just fighting for her own peace of mind. She was fighting for Truly. In all her pain and all her heartbreak, her focus was on ensuring that Truly had the life she deserved. That was Christine's driving force, her daughter. And that's what makes this so much more than a legal battle. It's a mother's fight for her child. What really struck me was how Christine kept it together for Truly. Imagine being in her shoes. She had every reason to crumble. She had every reason to be angry, to be frustrated, to scream and cry and shout at the injustice of it all. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure she did. But she didn't let her pain consume her. She used it as fuel to make sure Truly's future was secure. And the thing about Cody, he couldn't seem to understand the emotional damage he caused. He was too busy playing the victim, too caught up in his own feelings to realize that Christine was drowning in this chaos, all while trying to keep everything together for her kids. Christine wasn't just emotionally battered, she was exhausted. But there she was, still fighting, still trying to make sure that Truly's needs were met, still trying to make sure her daughter didn't feel the emotional void left by a father who couldn't be bothered. And Cody? The man was still making excuses. We all know that Cody has blamed everyone, Mary, Janelle, Christine, for the breakdown of his marriages. He's pointed fingers, made sweeping generalizations, and yet never took real responsibility. It's all part of his pattern. When things go wrong, he's quick to cast blame on others. It's a lot easier than admitting, you know what? I messed up. I wasn't there for my kids. I wasn't there for my wives. I'll be honest, I get so emotional thinking about how Christine was never given the chance to be heard in that family. For years, she was a supporting character in her own life story. She was the one who kept things running, who held everything together, but never got the appreciation or acknowledgement she deserved. And you know what? That weighs on a person. It changes who you are. It shapes your thoughts, your decisions, your self-worth. And that's why when Christine decided to move to Utah and take legal action, it wasn't just about the money. It wasn't just about child support or custody. No, this was about validation. She wasn't just demanding Cody be a responsible father. She was demanding that her pain and her sacrifices be recognized. She was demanding that the years of emotional neglect, the years of feeling invisible, come to an end. You can only take so much before you snap. And Christine finally snapped in the most empowering way. It wasn't about bitterness. It wasn't about vengeance. It was about healing, about securing her own peace, about making sure her children grew up in a home where they were loved, supported, and, most importantly, seen. I want to hear from you now. How do you think Christine was able to hold it together for so long? How much of her journey do you think was motivated by anger versus a desire to simply create a better life for Truly? I'm honestly curious because sometimes it feels like her entire journey was driven by love and hope, even though everything around her was falling apart. Leave your thoughts down in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can stay updated with more juicy analysis of the Sister Wives world. Trust me, there's a lot more where this came from. All right, let's talk about Christine's fresh start because this part of her journey is just so inspiring. For so long, Christine was defined by her marriage to Cody, by the polygamous lifestyle that she never really signed up for, and by the weight of everyone else's expectations. But here's the thing. She was never truly living for herself. She had always been playing a role. The supportive wife, the mother holding everything together, the one who sacrificed her own happiness for the sake of others. But when she took that step to separate from Cody, when she made that choice to break free from a marriage that was clearly suffocating her, something shifted. And that shift, that transformation, was a long time coming. Christine's decision to leave wasn't just a divorce, it was a rebirth. It was a chance to finally discover who she was outside of Cody's shadow, outside of the toxic dynamics of the Brown family. For the first time in years, she could take a breath and say, "What do I want? Who am I now?" And that's something I think a lot of us can relate to, right? You get so caught up in the roles you play for others, you forget who you are at your core. And that's what makes Christine's story so powerful. She was done being invisible, done being the woman who was always expected to just take whatever Cody dished out. But Christine didn't just stop at her separation from Cody. She took control of her life in ways that shocked even the most seasoned viewers. Moving to Utah? That was a game changer. There's no denying it. She moved to a state that offered her legal protections she couldn't get living in Arizona, a state where she could actually pursue justice for her daughter Truly and start over without constantly feeling like she was being dragged down by the past. But moving to Utah wasn't just about the location. It was about freedom. It was about getting away from the toxic environment of her marriage and finally getting the space she needed to heal and thrive. And let's not forget, Utah was a symbol of change too. It was in Utah that she took the legal steps that would ultimately force Cody to take accountability for Truly. Filing for that paternity test, demanding child support, and seeking full custody of Truly was not just a legal act. It was a declaration. Christine was reclaiming her power. And then came David Woolley, the man who came into her life at just the right time. Now, I know a lot of people have opinions about her new relationship, and hey, I get it. It's a lot to process when someone so recently out of a long marriage moves on so quickly. But let's be real here. Christine found someone who makes her happy. And if that's not a testament to her personal growth, I don't know what is. After all she went through, the emotional neglect, the years of feeling like she was never enough for Cody, Christine found someone who genuinely makes her feel seen, respected, and loved. That's powerful. But you know what else I admire? How she was able to let go of all the baggage from her past relationship with Cody. She could have easily stayed stuck in that cycle of resentment, hurt, and bitterness, but she didn't. Instead, she chose to embrace a new chapter. Christine's story is not just about surviving an abusive marriage or breaking free from the toxic dynamics of polygamy. It's about healing, self-love, and moving forward with dignity. Her relationship with David isn't just about finding love. It's about finding herself again. Now, I know many of you are wondering, is it possible for Cody and Christine to ever have a peaceful relationship? Well, honestly, I think Christine has reached a point where she's done trying to fix things with him. I mean, let's face it, after everything he's done. Ignoring his daughter, putting Robin's needs above his kids, and emotionally neglecting Christine. What more does she need from him? She's shown him over and over that she's done, and I think this time she's sticking to it. Christine's focus is no longer on Cody or his drama. It's on her future, her daughter, and the life she deserves. There's this undeniable sense of empowerment in everything Christine does now. And I have to say, it's incredible to see her go from someone who was constantly the second choice in Cody's world to now being first in her own. She's the one calling the shots. She's the one in control. And as hard as it is to move on after a marriage like hers, Christine did it. She reinvented herself. And I think that's what a lot of us wish we could do in our own lives. Take a step back, look at what we've been through, and decide that we deserve better. Now, let me know what you think about Christine's new life. Do you think she's finally found the happiness she was searching for all these years? Or do you think she's still carrying some of that emotional weight from her marriage to Cody? And do you think Cody will ever fully come to terms with what he lost in Christine? Or is he too far gone in his own self-centered world? I'll be reading your thoughts, so make sure to drop a comment below. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and like this video because trust me, there's more of Christine's journey ahead. I'll be back with more breakdowns of the Sister Wives drama you won't want to miss. Christine Brown's journey to empowerment wouldn't have been possible without the crucial role the legal system played in her fight for justice. And this isn't just about laws that deal with child support or custody. It's about laws that empower women. When Christine moved to Utah, she was entering a state that offered her a legal framework that supported her rights as a mother. And honestly, it's hard to overstate how important that was for her. Now, let's take a step back for a second. Utah, unlike some other states, had more protections in place for single mothers. In fact, it was a game changer for Christine. For years, she lived under the shadow of polygamy, where her rights were often overshadowed by the dominance of Cody's power and control. But once she took the steps to move to Utah, she knew she could start fresh. And part of that fresh start included finally securing the rights for Truly, the child she had fought so hard to protect. That paternity test? It wasn't just a formality. It was a power move, a demand for legal recognition of Cody as a father. And let's be real, it was long overdue. Christine wasn't playing around anymore. She wasn't begging for Cody's attention or affection. She was fighting for her daughter's future, her financial security, and her emotional well-being. By filing for child support, Christine was not only asserting her legal rights, but she was also saying, "I am not invisible. I will not let this go." She knew the system wasn't perfect, but it gave her the tools she needed to stand up for her daughter, and honestly, it gave her the power to break free from Cody's neglect. I think one of the most profound aspects of Christine's story is how she used the law as a tool of empowerment. We've all seen women struggle to have their voices heard, especially when the odds are stacked against them. And here's the kicker. She wasn't just standing up for herself. She was standing up for her daughter, Truly, the same little girl who had been caught in the crossfire of a relationship that was full of dysfunction. So Christine used the law not just to fight for her own justice, but to fight for Truly's future as well. It's an act of bravery, self-worth, and determination. And I don't know about you, but it's hard not to respect that kind of strength. So let's hear it. Do you think Christine's fight was worth it? Was the law her biggest ally in her pursuit of justice, or do you think there were other forces at play? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. Christine Brown's story didn't end with her legal victory. In fact, that was just the beginning of her new chapter. It's easy to think that once the legal battles were over, the emotional scars would simply heal. But we all know that's not how things work in real life. Christine's life after Cody and after all the years of polygamous drama was still a process of rebuilding, healing, and learning to trust herself again. Her new relationship with David Woolley was symbolic of that new beginning. For so long, Christine had been stuck in a marriage where she felt marginalized, ignored, and unseen. And let's not forget the emotional toll of being one of Cody's wives in a toxic and dysfunctional family dynamic, where favoritism was more than apparent. But with David, Christine found something different: validation, affection, and the kind of love she had been missing for years. But what stands out the most in Christine's post-divorce journey is how she rediscovered her own identity. She went from being Cody's wife to being Christine, a strong, independent woman who could make her own choices, and more importantly, a mother who could fight for her children. We saw her grow from someone who was quietly enduring her place in the family to someone who would no longer accept the crumbs. As much as her legal battles were a turning point, her emotional recovery was just as crucial. And I think that's what makes Christine's story so powerful. It's about more than just fighting for justice or revenge. It's about healing, rediscovering your worth, and moving forward with grace. She took that pain, the years of hurt, and transformed it into something positive. Christine is a living testament to the fact that it's never too late to choose your own happiness. She had to endure the worst, but in the end, she emerged stronger, and I believe her story gives us all a bit of hope, that no matter how tough the past may have been, we can rewrite our story and build a future that we deserve. So, what do you think of Christine's new chapter? Do you think she truly found the happiness she deserved? Let me know your thoughts below, and if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. Christine Brown's journey is nothing short of inspiring. She went from being a passive wife in a complicated, often oppressive polygamous relationship to becoming an independent, empowered mother who now knows her worth. Her transformation wasn't just about leaving Cody. It was about finding herself again after years of feeling invisible. She reclaimed her voice, her agency, and, most importantly, her confidence. Christine fought for her daughter truly and her own freedom, both legally and emotionally, and her victory was so much more than just a court ruling. It was a statement that Christine was finally living life on her own terms. Looking ahead, the future of the Brown family is still uncertain. While we've seen Cody and Christine's relationship unravel, the healing for everyone involved will take time. Christine's journey has shown us that family dynamics can shift and even break apart, but the process of healing doesn't happen overnight. For Cody, the road ahead will likely be filled with reflection on the consequences of his actions. Will he ever fully take accountability for the pain he caused? And what about the other wives and kids? We've seen glimpses of the fractured relationships, but the coming years might bring us a deeper understanding of how these once close bonds can evolve or fade. But Christine, well, she's proven that it's possible to reclaim your life, build a new future, and find happiness again, no matter how messy the past was. She's stepping into her own power, and I can't wait to see where she goes from here. So, what are your final thoughts on Christine's journey? Do you think she's truly moved on, or is there more healing left to do? Leave a comment below, share your thoughts, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to TLC Sister Wives Secrets for more deep dives into the Brown family saga.